Well, it is absolutely thrilling to be part of this celebration of the breadth and vivacity and moral depths and playfulness of American poetry in every way, and for me personally, an enormous joy to celebrate a poet who has been a trail layer and a path opener all my life. So the formal citation. Few poets change not only a culture's poetic landscape, but the landscape of culture itself. This Gary Snyder has done. In his work, the relationships of human and earth, of fact and myth, of labor and love, are remade, refitted. By the lifelong freedoms of his curiosity and the bedrock integrity of his vision, with an almost physiological originality of phrase, music, and structure, Gary Snyder has brought to American poetry a lyric poem whose subjects and views are objectively, humbly epic. His words look into the world and our human lives with acuity, affection, and the ethics of a 10,000-year perception. He has changed both what we know and how we say. Any truly good poem is a recalibration of the scale of what matters. Gary Snyder's words have widened the pans of that scale until our highways and mountains, our rivers and oil tankers, the orbits and murmurs of this moment's news fit inside them. Such an act has reciprocal power, changing in turn writer, reader, and world. With this 2012 Wallace Stevens Award, the Academy of American Poets, on behalf of all American poets, thanks Gary Snyder for his unceasing remembrance, investigation, and embodiment of the many existences and languages of which each of us is part. Thank you, Gary.
Well, it's a great pleasure and an honor to be here with all of you and with so many dear friends, really, some of them going back for quite a few years. I just flew last night from the West Coast to get here, as I know some others of you did, and I was just thinking, maybe I should just moan all the way. I kind of felt like it, and I felt, very much like it last week when I was filling up my gas tank, and it came to $65, which is not uncommon out in California, famous for its many virtues, but you ought to know about the expenses too. I could, if I let myself go, I could easily try to talk or would want to talk about our life in America, our life in poetry, the poetry and the people of the last 50 years. I'm thinking about that a lot these days. I won't bother you with it right now, though. My thanks do go, however, to some great teachers, some mentors that I connected with early on. And I want to invoke Robert Duncan, Kenneth Rexroth, Allen Ginsberg, and Philip Whalen as four people from whom I took many teachings. And Allen Ginsberg, just to say a word on his behalf, a lot smarter cookie than people know. And a deep and thoughtful thinker on matters of language and poetics. And the advice that he had to give was never anything like, sound like me. He knew that some of the things he did were unique to the time and the place, and some of the things he did were not necessarily going to last. But within the great body of his work, there are a number of powerful and unique poetic moves, like moves on the go board, that we can all still learn from. And James Laughlin, who gambled on my work early and published me in New Directions. My first national level of publication was that. And then later, Jack Shoemaker, who's back on the West Coast now, with whom I have been working for many years. In spite of the fact, as we all know, that the book business is having a terrible time. And the motto of any publisher is don't publish anything that won't sell. And then they turn around and publish poetry. Thanks, and we're all grateful for that. So I'm going to finish my bit of time here by reading 4 poems. All of them quite new, all but one quite new. And the first one is for my late wife, Carol Coda. See, it's been 6 years now. It's called Gnarly, G-N-A-R-L-Y, Gnarly. For Carol. Splitting 18-inch old log rounds from a beetle kill. Pine tree we felled so it wouldn't later smash a shed. With a borrowed splitter, Briggs & Stratton, 20-ton pressure wedge on a piston push rod. Some rounds fall clean down, split in two. Some tough and thready, knotty, full of frass and galleries, gnarly. Gnarly. My woman. Gnarly. She was sweet. Anger, cattle, and Achilles. Think of the wrath of Achilles. 2 of my best friends quit speaking. One said his wrath was like that of Achilles. The 3 of us had traveled in the desert, awakened to bird song and sunshine under ironwoods in a wadi south of the border. They both were herders, one with cattle and poems, the other with business and books. One almost died in a car crash but slowly recovered. The other gave up all his friends, took refuge in a city, and studied the nuances of power. One of them I haven't seen in years. I met the other lately in the far back of a bar, musicians playing near the window, and he sweetly told me, listen to that music. The self we hold so dear will soon be gone. Stories in the Night. In native California, winter was exclusively storytelling time. They didn't tell, and still don't tell their traditional stories except in the wintertime. That's one part of this. And the other background information that might help here is that where I live in the northern Sierra is quite remote, and for some complicated reasons that have to do with long-term ownership of gold-bearing gravels and land use. We've never had electricity off the grid, and my neighbors too. We've all been self-sufficient, standalone energy producers, each in our own way, but generally all of us using solar panels and one sort or another of generator. And so generators, in some parts of the world, are big topics of conversation. Like one of the wives of one of the professors at the University of Alaska at Fairbanks once said to me when I was visiting up there, "I just can't stand these husbands. All they talk about is airplanes, guns, and sled dogs." Still true, too. Yesterday, I was working most of the day with a breakdown in the system. Generator 1, Generator 2, and old phased-out Generator 3, the battery array, the big trace inverter, the solar panels. Back to the old days, they all had stopped cold, early morning in the dark. We had kerosene lamps, candles, and the wood stoves always worked. The backup generator, the number 3 Honda, cycles wrong, tricking the inverter, the relay that starts the bulk charge. The big green Onan, fueled by propane, wouldn't start. One time turned out there was a clogged air cleaner. Oil drops blow back up from deep inside. I try to remember machinery can always be fixed, but be ready to give up the plans that were made for that day. Go back to the manual. Call up friends who know more. Make some tea. Relax with your tools and your problems. Start enjoying the day. First 15 years we lived here, kerosene lamps, heavy tile roof in the shade of a huge pre-contact black oak. Sherry, Siegfried's longtime woman friend and partner, is due at any time with a 9-ton truck of 3/4-inch crushed rock. Wet dirt every winter eats up gravel. Keeping a few hard roads for drenching winter rains and melting snows takes planning. You have to ditch them too. In 1962, going all through Kyushu with Joanne, walked around Nagasaki. Busy streets and coffee shops, green leafy trees and gardens, a lively place. But at Mount Aso, the great caldera in the center of the island, the crater 15 miles across, saw sightseers from Nagasaki with that twisted, shiny, scarred, burned face of survivors from those days, and then read the English translation of the graphic novel Barefoot Gen. What got me about the bomb was too much power, and then temptation there to be the first to be the emperor of the world. Yet to be done. So change our course around, or there we head. I could never be a Muslim, a Christian, or a Jew, because the Ten Commandments fall short of moral rigor. The Bible's "shalt not kill" leaves out the other realms of life. How could that be? What sort of world did they think this is? With no account for all of the wriggling feelers and the little fins, the spines, the slimy necks, eyes shiny in the night, paw prints in the snow. And that other thing can't have No other God before me, like profound anxiety of power and jealousy and envy. What sort of God is that? Worrying all the time. Plenty of little gods are waiting to begin their practice and learn just who they are. In North India, 4th century AD, some Buddhist tantric teacher lady said, "That God called Yahweh to the West, he's really something. But too bad, he has this nutty thing that he's creator of the world." A delusion that could really set you back. But returning to energy, I'll fix the Onan, give up on number 3, it's too far gone, and next time get a backup with a cast iron block and water cooling and a warranty good for centuries. Put in a bunch more panels for the sun. The old-time people here in warm earth lodges 30 feet across burned pitchy pinewood slivers for their candles. Snow after snow, all those centuries before. Lodge fire light and pitchy slivers burning. Don't need much light for stories in the night. I'm going to finish with a little poem that some of you may have heard me do a couple times before. A letter to M.A., who lives far away. A young woman, 12 or 13, who wrote me a letter all in rhyme from British Columbia, asking me to tell her more about poetry. I knew her father. Dear Melissa, I do remember you. You had curly hair and stood by the stair up there on Quadra Isle with a shy smile. Say hello to your mother, Jean. I don't remember your sister's name, and that's a shame, but I sort of remember her face and natural grace. Not all poetry has to rhyme, but this time I'm writing back the way you did it. It's to your credit. You got me to write this form, since real poetry is born from a formless place, Buddhist teachers say in play. So if this helps you be a writer, it will please your new friend, Gary Snyder.